Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I'm in mute actually. No one actually asked. Okay, am I audible to all, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Yeah, you are able to say, you are supposed to say, tell, right? If I'm not audible, okay.
Thought.
Yeah, this is the question you are asking, right? Someone actually asked the open loop transfer
Yes,
function.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This one
Uh,
only.
so, we are given a unity feedback G of S for the system overshoot reduces from zero point 0.6 to 0.22 due to change in K only. If K1 and K2 are values of K and K2 are values of K for point 2, point 6 overshoot respectively, then which expression holds true? So anyone, no one is actually, let me know. Actually, could have asked this question before in the uh, email actually, so that I also look at this problem. But let's try. So you are given the open loop transfer function g of s.
Ma'am,
Huh.
but the deadline for this assignment isn't over yet.
Oh yeah, today is the deadline, right?
Yes, ma'am.
No,
Yeah.
no, ma'am. Before only 12th, I guess.
No, no,
12th
no.
July.
No, 17th they gave the deadline actually. I'm not supposed to solve this problem.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah,
But
it's a
before it
simple.
was mentioned 12th July, actually.
Yeah, it was 12, but there was a technical glitch. It was short 22 July, so they sent email to correct it to today.
Correct. Actually, I'm not supposed to solve this one, but you just simply uh, post it in the, you find the zeta for each case because overshoot is given, right? Point 0.6 and point 0.2. So then you can find out zeta 1, zeta 2. From there,
Two, day,
you
two
can
days
try.
before, I was able to see my scores actually for this GRPA.
I'm not clear what you're saying.
2 days before, I received grade like marks for this GRPA, but now it disappeared. Don't know why.
Oh, okay, okay. I think because of this one only, 17th they actually, initially it was wrongly posted as 22nd, then they gave time up to 17th.
Okay.
Yeah. And shall I discuss about other problems? Someone actually asked about question number 5 of GA1, which is actually on compound interest. Someone actually asked actually. What is your doubt actually in compound interest, whether it's a static or dynamic? That is what the doubt is, right? That person is here who asked this one.
No, ma'am, I guess. He's Chandan Shah, I think. In
Ah,
Discourse he posted.
okay. Then you want to know or not required?
Please explain, ma'am, that one. He may watch that recorded session after.
Ah, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, there are two things actually. One thing is uh, if you see the formula of simple compound interest, uh, let's say suppose if P is the principal amount, R is interest rate, and T is the time, then usually the formula of compound interest is P into 1 plus, or R is in percentage actually, or whatever it is, interest rate, divided by N into T. How many times into T? That's actually formula. So if you see here, if you look at this formula wise, say this is a one system, and there if you give input P and rate interest R, you will get whatever the compound interest. This looks like a static, but actually, if you see how the system solution comes for this one, this is comes and based on previous what is the accumulated amount based on the previous terms. Let's say, for example, initially let's see, after term one, the total amount will be A of 1 will be P plus P into R, right? That means you can write it as P into 1 plus R. For the second term, it will be the rate is based on the previous amount. That means this one. That means A1 plus A1 R percentage of A1. So that means it is like that, A1 into 1 plus R, like that. So if you then, that means A1 is, again you can substitute that A1 here, then it will be P into 1 plus R into 1 plus R, right? That means it is equal to P into 1 plus R whole square. So it will go like this. So that means the present value of compound interest depends on the previous state. Then we can say that this is a dynamical system. The dynamical system has some kind of memory. That means the system response depends on not only on the present input but also previous state also. So in that case, if you see this one, this is the dynamic system. So since there are two contradictions, one looking at a formula wise and another one is looking at how the system is evolving. These two are two different ways. So before that, there is one more error in this question. Is actually Vasmati ma'am gave this as a multiple choice question, multiple solution question, but somehow there is a mistake happened. Because of that, it comes as a multiple choice question. So we actually raised a request for this one. The actually that the concerned operating team was actually changed, so that's the reason they didn't take up. Actually, yesterday also I raised about this one. They said that we will check what happened to this one. So then they can resolve this issue. Okay. If you don't have any doubts, I can quickly summarize what are the class for 4 week content, and we can solve some problems.
Okay,
Is it?
ma'am. It's fine.
Let me know. I will give some 5 minutes. I can wait. If you have some more questions, we can solve.
Take some questions from the mechanical diagram related question.
Mechanical diagram means, uh,
Mechanical block, actually.
yeah, I understand that mass damper
Yes,
kind of,
ma'am.
right? So how to solve those mechanical problems? Actually, uh, in mechanical systems, there are two types. One is rotational mechanism, and another one is translatory kind of thing. So I will mostly will look at the translatory motions like mass, damper, and spring. Okay, so one thing we can solve this one directly using free body diagrams of mechanical systems. Another one way is using convert that into equivalent electrical components. Then we can solve those using Kirchhoff laws. You can solve directly that problem. So first I will go with mechanical way. Let's say if we have mass m, so there is some force acted on it. If it is the direction of the force f of t, then you usually differ the give the direction of reference. That means how the position is measured with respect to what, in which direction the position is measured. Okay, so in this case, the force acting on it is of T is equal to using Newton's second law, mass into acceleration, that is equal to mx dot, right? Then damper. Damper is represented like that. This is actually representing inertial component of the system. The second one is damper. Damper is actually the name itself. It is represented by some B, and this is the force direction f of t, and this is the reference position. The force acting on it due to damper is b into velocity, or it is equal to b into x dot. The second one is then another one is spring constant. Spring. Yeah, this is called here we'll reference position. Let us suppose uh, this is x1 and this is x2, and the force is acting in this direction. Then f of t is equal to spring constant, stiffness constant they call it as, stiffness constant into elongation. Elongation is either x2 minus x1. Okay, so these are the three things. So we use, if any mechanical system is given, you need to take a law of conservation of energy. That is the forces, total force acting on it is the forces due to mass, due to spring constant, and due to viscous force. Let us suppose if you have one system like A and mass and damper. The force is acting in this direction. Then this is given by K. It's not inductor, actually it is like this. Some resistance way only they will take. Some people write it's an inductor. Both are same. So, and the difference position is X like this. So sum of forces, sectional forces, total force F of T is equal to M X dot double dot plus B X dot plus Kx. Okay, this is the equation. We need to equate the external forces to the internal forces. These all are internal forces due to these elements. Okay, so so we can suppose if they given some other system. So one first step is we write a free body diagram, how the forces are acting, how the directions are, how should we take the directions. Let us suppose there is one example I'm giving. So this is the reference, and there is a mass, sorry, friction, damping friction is given by B, and mass M1, and there is another spring element K, and this is M2. So this is the direction of the forces. There are two forces because there are two mass elements are there, F of F1, F2, and this is the reference position X2, and this is the reference position X1. So if they are given like this, first step is we need to write a free body diagram. Let's suppose we'll start with F2, mass M2 at that point. So here M2, the direction of the force F2 is in the direction like this, right? Then for mass inertial element mass m2, the force is, it is opposes the actional force, right? So this will be m x2 dot, whose direction is will be opposite to the actional force. Then the spring constant here, the spring element K, it is again opposite to the x2 minus x1. So the direction is actually initial minus final, what I gave here, right? This is, if it is x1, this is x1 minus x2, initial minus final. So, but I am actually taking this as x2 minus x1. That means it is in the force direction instead of mass direction. Okay. Now here for this case, second mass. So the forces acting on here is, this is F1. Oh, F1. The direction of F1 is in the direction of F2 same. So it is in this direction towards right. Then frictional inertial element mass x1 dot. So it is which direction? It is opposite to F1. That means it will be like this. And then next thing is frictional element is also there here. So here B x1 dot, which is also against to the force F1, and spring constant, which is a common for both mass 1 and mass 2. So then its direction x2 minus x1 in this direction. So once you have this kind of free body diagram, then we can simply write equations like F2 is equal to m x2 double dot plus k into x2 minus x1. Then F2 is, sorry, F1. Then F1 of t is equal to m1 x1 double dot plus d x1 dot plus k into x2 minus x1. F1. Is it clear? Then
Ma'am,
remind,
here I have
we
doubt
can,
actually. The force direction m2 x2 double dot is in opposite direction. How it is taken? Confused here.
m2 x2. So this is against the external force. Inertial element means it will try to oppose the external force, right? That is the physics.
Means it is in opposite direction.
Opposite to the external force. External force
Okay,
direction
ma'am.
is in this direction. Then external inertial force is opposite to the external force. That's
Okay,
law
ma'am.
for
Got it.
yeah. That's how you have to write. Any other question? Uh, you have any specific topic to discuss? Otherwise, we will discuss. I think let me go through one by one. So in the first week, what we have gone is what we have learned is systems classification, right? Linear and non-linear. How do you identify whether a given system is linear system or non-linear system? Time variant and time invariant, causal and non-causal, and uh, then whether the system is a static or dynamical system, right?
Excuse
So,
me, ma'am.
uh,
Ma'am, in week one, question number 5 is there, na?
uh, that
Ma'am,
one
in that,
component interest, that one you are asking.
yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
that
mean
is
that expected answer they are saying static system, but I think both systems are dynamic.
both systems are dynamic. How?
Ma'am, because they will depend on past values now. If we are going to find compound interest and simple interest, it will depend on past value.
Simple interest always based on the principal amount, right? It's not past value. Just whatever the principal amount you are given. So based on that fixed amount you are calculating every time. It's independent of time. Whatever the time at that instant, you just simply how many time periods you wanted to take and calculate that one. That is a static. It's not depends on the previous state. Is it clear?
Can you explain by formula? I didn't get it. I'm still confused in it.
Uh, so principal for simple interest, what is the formula? P N R
RT.
by 100 or P or whatever it is. N is number of years. I'm saying
Okay, ma'am.
P R means interest rate. T, right? This is the formula. I'm actually taking this is the with respect to 100 per 100. What is the rate interest rate? Or divided by 100. This is the formula, right? So at any time instant, given number of years, that means t, and rate r, it directly computes the what is the interest rate. Here it is not depending on anything on static previous value. The only thing is how many years we have gone for that one. That one you can directly calculate.
And ma'am, in compound interest?
But in compound interest, it is not like that. It's actually it's actually how much amount accumulated because from the previous say initially it is principal, then principal plus rate of interest on that principal. So this is the total amount, right? In the next case, next state, this part plus then let's say this is A, then percentage of A times R. That means, so here the calculation depends on the previous A.
Ma'am, it should be dynamic, na?
Yeah, this is dynamic, I
But
agree.
they are showing expected answer. Both are
Yeah.
static systems.
Yeah, this is true. That's actually that making you confusion. I understand. This is actually if you say dynamical system, this is the correct one. But if you see from the formula wise, only if you plug in P, R, and number of years, then we can directly get that value. So that is the reason they are saying that this is a static. There is one kind of argument some people are saying, but that is not the correct. But every time principal interest rate depends on what is the amount accumulated up to that time. Based on that, you calculate the interest rate for a compound interest. So in that case, you can't say it is a dynamical system. I agree with you. This is a confliction, but still there is another issue in that question. Is initially it was actually they are, wanted to accept two answers, but it's only given one single choice question, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That is also another issue. So we actually requested operational teams to look into this one. So
Okay,
they are
ma'am.
checking this. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Hmm. For the simple interest, you don't need to know what is the previous amount and all. Just only take the principal amount and calculate. But in case of compound interest, you need to know how much accumulated till that date. Based on that value only, you have to calculate interest rate. That is the reason it is depends on the past state.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why it is a dynamical system. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Hmm.
There are a lot of other terms like homogeneity, additivity, superposition, and all those things. I
Uh,
mean, yeah, I mean they fall under these categories only, right? Linear, linear, and I mean linearity and homogeneity both are more or less same, right?
Homogeneity. If a system satisfied homogeneity and superposition, then we call that as a linear system.
Yeah, right. And superposition,
plus homogeneity.
yeah, superposition plus homogeneity is linear, right?
What is superposition? If y of
A,
1 is the response for input x1 of t, and y2 of t is the response to x2 of t,
then total gross, I mean total
then x1
y
plus x2, sorry, x1 of t plus x2 of t, if you combinedly give this one,
y1
your
plus y2.
response is the sum of x1 of t plus y1 of t. This is called superposition.
Yeah.
If multiply the input with a scalar x1 of t, then your output is also multiplied with the same scalar alpha on y1 of t, then we call this as a homogeneity.
Okay,
So
if
if
it
the
is both
system satisfies these two principles, then we can say that the system is linear. Let us
okay.
take one example. If you want, I can give one example. Let us say,
Ma'am, one quick thing. I mean, actually, we normally, I mean, till now we have been analyzing this in only time domain, right? But I mean, if you analyze them in the frequency domain, it will be straightforward, I guess, right? Can we do that? I mean, I'm just curious.
uh, frequency domain also, we need to say the same thing, right? If x of s, I think addition
Because I mean,
scale of,
in one of the free what you call signals and systems, I mean, in the latter part of the courses, I mean, we analyze this stability and all those stability in frequency domain. Earlier,
uh,
it was I mean, in the starting classes, I mean, it was analyzed in time domain. In the latter
yeah,
part of the course, in the latter part of the courses, it was analyzed in frequency domain, and it was very easy actually.
the reason for analyzing the systems in frequency domain is it is easy to calculate the system response. If you see, if you have a system like this, whose impulse response is h of t,
Convolution, right? You are
and
referring to convolution.
yeah, so response is convolution. Convolution is a difficult thing to calculate because it has shifting, multiplication, and summing
Yeah,
of
the
all these
system we
things.
multiply
But if
in
you
the frequency domain.
yeah, if you take it in Laplace transform or frequency domain, then it is multiplication, and you take inverse Laplace transform, and then you can get directly the response. That is the reason we go with frequency domain. And another advantage is solving with differential equations is easy in frequency domain than compared to time domain.
Yeah, because it becomes linear, what you call linear algebra.
Algebraic expressions,
Yeah.
if you convert into frequency domain, that is the reason. That is another reason we are going for frequency domain. Here also in the control systems also initially we start with the time domain and then we will go to frequency domain. That's the reason we gave response characteristics in time, because the physical systems, whatever systems you are analyzing, you will see in the physical time. So that is the reason we need to give the specify the system response in frequency domain, like how much time, how fast the system is behaving, how much time it is taking to settle. So all those are in the time domain. That is the reason first we start with analytic system in time domain. Then we will move into the frequency domain because of advantages of certain advantages in frequency domain. Okay. Any other doubt?
But normally, I mean, we have, I mean, I just wanted to tell that, I mean, a frequency domain, by using frequency domain also, I mean, this properties can be verified.
Sorry, your voice is not clear.
Yeah, maybe just wanted to let the participant know that, I mean, by using, because I mean, signals and systems, these topics were covered
Uh-huh.
in frequency domain also. This bibo stability and all these things can be straightforward.
Yeah, right, correct. So I think you might know that whole zero configuration based on the first whatever the system we represent in terms of transfer function. Transfer function we define as Laplace transform of output y of s by Laplace transform of input x of s, assuming the system is at rest. That means initial conditions are zero. So what we do is, if any system if he has given, what we do, we will first calculate the Laplace transfer function of the system, then uh, analyze the force of the system. So Laplace transform has numerator by denominator, and so whose poles are represented by. So in general, we can write this transfer function as some k times. We can factorize the system, right? K minus z1, k minus sorry s minus z2, s minus z3, etc. We can factorize the system in Laplace transform, right? Then s minus p1, s minus p2, etc. s minus pm. So this is s minus m. So whatever, if you make it s equal to 0, then the numerator equal to 0, then these are all called zeros of the system. These are all the poles of the system. If you see in the Laplace transform, we need to factorize this into terms, individual terms, some a by s minus p1 plus b by s minus p2, like that, right? Then the solution, how the solution looks like, a into e to the power of minus pt, e to the power of pt, right? If it is like this, one second. So this will tell us whether system, if P is a negative, then we can say that the system is stable. The response dies down. So that's why we can say that system is stable. So based on the pole zero configuration, whatever the poles on the left, whether it is on real axis or imaginary, this is the sigma, this is j omega, sigma real axis, and this is j omega, right? S is equal to sigma plus j omega. So whatever the poles in this direction, they all decay. If it is on the real axis, then the system response would be like this. If it is having complex conjugate poles like that, then we will have oscillations, but those oscillations are decaying. So that means the system is stable. And again, if it is on the imaginary axis, then we say that we will have a undamped oscillations. That means the amplitude remains constant. So this case we call it as marginally stable. Whereas these two are stable. But whatever the poles here in this case, if it is in this direction, um, here or here, whatever in this direction, then that amplitude will increase. That means the term will be e to the power of this p. It will increase. So that is the reason you will get your response will go like this, or your oscillations will increase like this. So the system is unstable. Clear? So we analyze the stability of the system by using pole zero configuration of the system. That is the difference. I think you learned this thing in signals and systems. I'm not sure. Did you learn this one, this concept?
Actually, yeah, I mean, by using
Yes,
formula,
ma'am.
Okay, fine. There are two types of stability. I think in the class third there are two things. One is Bibo stability, bounded input, bounded output stability.
ma'am, another quick thing, I mean, why these mechanical components are part of our curriculum? Actually, it should be mainly electrical components, right?
I understand that one, but there are some kind of transducers you might also use. Like for example, motor. If you want to control your electrical circuit, you will use a motor, right? To control the speed of the motor, you need to know the mechanical system.
Okay.
So some kind of intersection will be there with, even if you are confined to
Again,
electrical system.
because again
You
we
might
have to,
need to learn all these other courses, some
I mean,
basic.
concepts okay, but again learning the formulas is
No, it is not the formula. You need to understand the physics behind it. Everywhere you are using law of conservation of energy while writing any dynamical equation. So then in that case, you need to know how do you let me image. Need to work with some uh, it's not necessarily a mechanical system, or you might need to work with some chemical industry or something. So in that case, you need to know all these basics of that system. How do you write it? How do you equate that conservation from that? How do you write dynamics? That is the basic thing. That's the reason we are actually giving. This is motor is one simple example. Wherever you are using some transducers which convert from other domain into the electrical domain, that time you may need to know what is actually happening there. Some
Yep,
basic.
yep.
Okay.
Let's go.
Then there are two types of stabilities. One is Bibo stability and exponential stability. Did you learn this exponential stability in your significant system?
I remember Bibo.
Okay. This Bibo input, this stability describes the stability of the system with respect to input and what is the system response output, whether both are bounded or not. Suppose if you are given exactly bounded input, which is less than, which we mathematically say that mod of x of t is less than infinity for all t, and you say that y of t should be bounded, right? This is Vivo. Whereas exponential stability tells about something about natural response of the system. It is not related to input and output. Suppose if you mathematically how you say that if x of there exists some constant m and alpha such that x of the system response y of t or what system response y of t is always less than m into e to the power of minus alpha t. That means the system response is, there should be some constant m and alpha such that whose response is always within this region. Then we say that the system is exponentially stable.
Is sine wave marginally stable, ma'am?
Pardon?
Sine wave?
Sine wave?
Yeah, is marginally stable, right?
Yeah. The sine wave is marginally stable. That means amplitude is constant, right? So it is a marginally stable.
Okay, if the amplitude, if the amplitude varies from minus infinity to plus infinity, then it is marginally stable, right?
Yeah, right. Your voice is something low. I'm not. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, let's go ahead with the schedule.
Uh, I hope this chapter is fine. I think linear and non-linear you need to find out by using superposition and homogeneity. You can say whether the system is linear or non-linear. If it is the time variant or time invariant, what you say is first you delay the input by some amount, arbitrary amount t naught, and if output is also delayed by the same amount, then we say that the system is time invariant. Um, Let us suppose x is delayed by some xt naught, and we call this as y1 of t. The corresponding response is y1 of t, and if output y also delayed by the same amount, then this response is equal to y1 of t. Then we call this as a time invariant. Okay, otherwise it's a time variant. In causal and non-causal, I think you know that if the system response only depends on the past inputs and past states, then we can say that the system is causal. Otherwise, it is a non-causal. Dynamical system and static system we already discussed. If the system response depends only on the present state of the system, we say that it is static. Otherwise, it is a dynamic. Then in week 2, what we have discussed is how the typical closed loop system looks, typical control system looks like. Right? It has a transfer function system which is represented by g of s, and here is the controller, and we give our controller input is given to the directed system or plant, and this is y of s, and here you will be having a sensor and then you will have reference input. And sometimes disturbance may also act here. This reference. This is a sensor. So this is the typical system. Sometimes we ignore the dynamics of the sensor. We just only try to unity feedback system. Like then we actually learned about the system response. System response is let h of t is the impulse response. Then for any system response y of t is for any arbitrary input it is convolution of x of t and h of t. Since this is also we have discussed now, since the convolution is a tedious process, we actually go for Laplace transform. That means we are transforming time domain to frequency domain. There we will calculate the system response, and again we you convert into time domain using inverse Laplace transform. Then solving the ODEs. This is also your Laplace transform helps you solve the ODEs easily because it is converting into algebraic form. Suppose you want to let's have uh, we have only 10 minutes time, but it's okay. But these problems, if you have any doubts, if you need to solve any problems in this case, we can solve. Otherwise, since I think you all are learn about these concepts in systems, I'm not giving any examples at this moment of time. Otherwise, I can give you some solved problems here. Shall I go to week 3 content? Hello?
Okay,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
You have any doubts in this week 2 content?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So in week 2 content, what you need to learn is one thing is Laplace transform definition and ROC region of convergence of Laplace transform and uh, Laplace transform of standard signals and properties of Laplace transform that will help you to solve the problem.
Ma'am, here in Laplace transform case,
Hmm.
in control system, many questions I see that they not mentioned ROC for the Laplace transform.
Because physical system usually we assume that the systems are physical signals are physical signal. That means it starts at u of t equal to v of t. That's the reason some 0 start at 0 initially it is at rest. That is the reason we won't consider ROC. Otherwise you
But
need to see.
you mentioned in the one of the lecture like for the
Yeah,
surprise quiz for the
but
week 2, we not
but
wrote that ROC in the surprise
I
quiz.
understand that, but actually in surprise is I wanted to how cautious you are about. I did not mention anything about
Because in
control of
DSP and signals we always wrote that ROC. But in
ROC.
the first lecture itself, I asked the Chakravarti sir for ROC.
Huh.
But sir told that in control we not consider ROC, so that's why I not wrote ROC
But
in
I
that.
explained you ROC and all, right?
Yeah,
Because
I know ROC, but
that is the
in
reason I actually asked you. I hope you all are, but that's not an issue. That half mark only I have reduced, but whether it's a physics or chemistry or whatever, it's a signals and systems or controls and everywhere, you need if Laplace transform they mention, it is the blind rule. You need to mention ROC. But here on flow, we won't specify ROC because all the systems are physical systems and we are considering initially at rest. That's the reason we are not considering. We are not every time I don't want to because the focus will deviate if you mention every time ROC also. That is the main reason we are not actually considering. We won't specify ROC every time. Okay.
okay, ma'am,
Then
got it.
let's go to the next transfer function. I already told you the definition of transfer function is response is a ratio of Laplace transform of output of the system to input of the system that we call it as a transfer function assuming initial conditions are zero. This is the important part. We should not forget about this. Okay, and then deriving transfer function for physical systems also you have learned like mass damper systems which now I explained and electrical systems and position control and car cruise control suspension control and all have been taught in this course. right? Yeah, Pawan.
Ma'am, I saw in one PYQ for the transfer function they give an initial condition for one question. Can I share that one if possible?
Yeah, sure.
1 minute.
I
You can
will.
go through the next topics. I will share them.
Okay, fine, fine. Then I have already explained about stability. Then poles and zeros based how to assess the Bibo stability based on poles and zeros, which we have already gone through this one also based on the pole zero configuration in S domain. Okay. You have any doubts here also? Let me know. Okay, shall I proceed with week 4? If we have time, then we can go through some problems, we can solve some problems. Okay. So week 4 actually is a big more content, which is actually important thing, which you need to uh, practice the how the system responds and for different inputs and error constant and steady state error. We actually learn in this impulse and step response of first order system, impulse and step response of second order system, and time domain specifications, steady state error and error constant. These are
Ma'am,
all.
a quick thing here is, I mean,
Uh,
to find the error constant, I mean, we take limit s tends to 0, s into r by 1 plus g. I mean, that formula is enough, right? I mean, do we need to remember error constant as well for
yeah,
unit step
because
and
because many problems they give only error constant kV or something, Ka, kV.
no, no, what I'm asking is, I
Uh,
mean, if you just remember the formula that s into r by 1 plus g, limit as s tends to 0, that is enough, right? Or else, I
That
mean,
is
do
to
we need to?
calculate steady state error, but some people usually in solving problems and all they give kV, Ka like that. Let's say for example, I will give you one example. Let's see how you can solve.
I mean, we can anyways derive them by using that formula, right? That
Yeah,
for
yeah, you
step,
can derive. If you
yeah.
can remember,
Because I
you
mean, there
can.
is lot of there are a lot of things to remember. That's the reason I'm just trying to.
No, you just know what is the definition at least. Let us say positional error constant is for unit step response. Then it is defined as limit s tends to 0 g of s. Right.
Okay, can we
This
arrive that?
kind of basic form
Okay, if we
things you need to move.
yeah, yeah, if we take s into r by 1 plus g, then r becomes 1 by s per unit step. So it will be 1 by g. So 1 by g, right? Limit s tends to 0, 1 by g. That okay, that kb is the limit s tends to okay. Kv, okay, yes, ma'am. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, you can solve like directly actually. What is
Because I mean, there are a
that?
lot of other formulas
Yeah,
to
one
remove
by
that.
one plus. Actually, R of S. If you remember this one, E of S is equal to R of S by 1 plus G of S. Then you can substitute input. What is the input? And corresponding, then you can apply that final value theorem and you can calculate what is Kp, Kv, and everything. As
Yes,
you
ma'am.
said, it's correct,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. How about we spend some time on that rise time, peak time,
Huh.
uh,
Okay.
settling time? I mean, there are. I mean, they are all. I mean, settling time and rise time, they are more or less related, right? Rise time
Related
and
in the sense,
okay, settling time means. I mean, okay, final settling time. Rise time.
let me explain one. So
Yeah.
this is the step input you are giving.
Okay.
These specifications are defined for second order system whose under damper case. There only you will get this kind of peaks and settling like this. Why you only focus on this one? Because many physical systems are designed for under damper case. Why? Because
Okay. Can you repeat your last statement?
uh, the
Many
last
many
many of
physical.
many of the control systems, whatever in real time, whichever you are designing control system for any physical system, mostly they design for.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Uh,
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, can anybody hear?
Yes, yes, you are audible now.
I'm able to
Did anybody lose the last couple of minutes?
Yes, for the 1 minute, I guess. 1 minute. Ma'am, your voice is breaking actually. You are not completely audible.
1 second.
Now you are audible.
Are you able to see my screen? Let 1 second, I'll share. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, but video needs some correction, I guess. Yeah, now it's fine.
Yeah, let me know.
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
I'm saying.
We are at the starting of the first graph.
Yeah, right. Yeah, here actually many physical systems we designed for underdamped case. Why? Because critical damped case is the ideal one without any oscillations and it's fast response. But it is getting critical damping is very difficult because component variations and parameter variations and all. So people usually slightly design the system for slightly underdamped case. Let's say theta is equal to some 0.7, 0.8 like that. So that is the reason we actually analyze the system resistance of second order system under damped case. Is it clear?
Okay,
Hello?
ma'am. Yeah.
Now you are asking your doubt is how rise time and settling time are related. Both are related. Okay.
Yeah, settling time is, it reaches some predefined
Tolerance.
percentage of the final value.
Time
Right.
taken, settling time is not a steady state.
Yeah, it is just
The
a minor.
time taken to settle within some 2% or 3%, 5% tolerance.
Okay, ma'am, how about peak time and rise time? Peak time is where the first peak occurs, but sometimes, I have seen the peak time. Okay, rise time is
0 to 100%.
okay.
Rise time is 0 to 100%, and peak time is first peak time taken to reach the first peak of the system.
Okay, in one of the example, I have seen peak time to be less than rise time. So I was little. I spent some time there. How come?
No, it won't be like that actually. Peak time should be greater than rise time only.
Yeah. Okay, I'll double check that.
Yeah, I think. And this is the maximum overshoot. You need to remember these formulas actually. That is the otherwise you can't solve.
Yeah, the formulas are quite heavy.
Formulas is simple only. Phi minus rise time is phi minus phi by omega d, right? Where phi is cos inverse zeta and omega d is omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square. Whereas peak time Tp is phi by omega d. These are simple formulas only. But only this maximum overshoot, peak overshoot P, this is, we need to remember, e to the power of minus zeta pi by square root of 1 minus zeta square into 100. This is the peak overshoot percentage. Whereas settling time Ts is equal to 4 by zeta omega n in case of 2% tolerance. In case of 5% tolerance, it is 3 by zeta omega n. These are the simple formulas. Is anything, you need any clarification? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah. You want to solve any problems?
Hello, ma'am.
Huh?
Can I share that question which I was telling that initial condition was given
Yeah. I stopped sharing my screen.
Okay, ma'am. my screen visible, ma'am?
Yeah, right.
This one, ma'am. Here y dash of 0 is
It
defined
is
as one.
actually they are solving a system differential equation. They are not telling this is the Laplace. Did they ask you to find out the transfer function or just find the solution of the system? Both are different.
Laplace and using means transfer function and Laplace transform are different, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, ma'am, got it.
What I want to say is the transfer function is usually defined for assuming initial conditions are zero. But
Okay,
here
ma'am.
you are solving the differential equation using Laplace transform technique. So here you can
Okay.
have initial values and final values.
Okay, ma'am.
Hmm. Any other? Any other doubts you have? Otherwise, we can close. Okay. Wish you all the best for the quiz.
Ma'am, if possible, can you share the solution for that question number 3 in GRPA after the deadline? Like tonight is the deadline, so tomorrow morning or so.
Um, Actually, what Sir has told us is you have to try the problem and you have to share that solution. Whatever you have, we will
Okay, ma'am.
actually say whether it is correct or not.
Okay, ma'am.
And also, we will give you some hints if you want able to solve. So that will help you to solve the problem. That way. But Sir actually do not share any of the final solution. That's what he's told us.
Okay, ma'am.
Hmm. If you're stuck at some point, tomorrow you can ask me. You can send me
Okay, ma'am.
mail. I can explain how to solve the problem. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you guys. All the best.